All right, Matty, welcome back to the Ask Matty Show. We're going to have an absolute banger show, going to provide a lot of value here. We are going to discuss Xrp ETF that was mentioned by Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. We're going to discuss our favorite altcoins. We're going to discuss ISO 20022 tokens and also Casper strategy and charting, Proppy, and Gamercoin that we had to look in before the show here because, Matty, I'll be honest with the team here. I had little hopes for our guy 227 Matatan, a regular viewer, and he threw down Proppy and GHX. And we all know Proppy here, but GHX I wasn't familiar with. And you pull up the initial chart, and I was like, oh, here we go. Another one of these stupid coins. And, you know, Matty kept pulling up charts. And then we saw the full price history, very akin to Casper. And we looked at the fundamentals. I was like, oh, it's a DePIN project. So I'm very excited for Matty to chart that. Matty, before we get into the show here, how are you feeling?
Hey, I'm doing great. We had a really good time filming our other show, After Hours, earlier this week, and we covered a lot of good topics on that. And actually, just kind of got me fired up for the rest of the week here. You know, we got FOMC coming up, and you know, I'm excited for some of the volatility that's most likely to ensue in these markets.
Matty, we're going to get into all the topics right now, but I have to tell the team, become a CryptoCharged member and use code
Father.
Oh, dude, I thought I was going to get you to say code YouTube. Yes, team, use code FATHER until next Monday, June 17th. We have a code going to use FATHER when you go onto the CryptoCharged platform and sign up. You can use code FATHER, input FATHER, and you will be entered into a giveaway, and you have the opportunity to win an annual membership. An opportunity. I saw a couple comments on the last show.
Let's clarify.
An opportunity. It's not guaranteed, hey, you put the code in, you get a free year CryptoCharge. Who would we be if we were doing that? It is an opportunity. So we will do the giveaway next week on After Hours. So make sure you guys do that. Matty, let's get into the content here. I'm very excited. Yep. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Venting Dan 00 says, Brad just talked about an Xrp ETF on CNBC. What would that do?
We've seen what's happened with other spot ETFs. So long awaited Bitcoin ETF. And if you guys are new this cycle, or maybe you caught the tail end of last cycle, you might think like, wow, you know, they've been at this for a few years. No, they've been at this for more than a few years. And the SEC's played a disgusting game, you know, for a very long time, you know, swatting them down, delay, swatting down, you know, choosing different reasons out of their little, you know, archaic rule book as to why, you know, spot ETFs aren't allowed. And then magically the right, you know, set of circumstances, you know, present themselves and spot ETFs are available. We also kind of had all this speculation with the Ethereum spot ETF of, you know, we're going to see these huge, you know, surge in ETH. We're going to see a new all-time high for ETH. If we get the spot ETFs, we actually got that big rally breakout move ahead of the actual approval, and then just kind of like stagnant sideways action of that. So do I believe that we should be on pins and needles and, you know, buying XRP with the anticipation that if an XRP spot ETF was approved, that we'd immediately see this huge price appreciation? Not necessarily. I would really be looking more about like what's happening in the market as a whole. Could it maybe be a catalyst that drives it a little further along? Yeah, it could, but it's not something I'm holding my breath on. Now, you know, with what we've got going on in the SEC v Ripple Labs case, the majority of everything we care about as retail holders has been settled, right? XRP within itself has been labeled a non-security status. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't certain contracts where XRP becomes a security, but inherently all by itself, it does not, you know, constitute a security. So it's definitely, you know, on the pedestal here to potentially be put into a spot ETF. What does it do? It really just allows the everyday investor that doesn't want to hold, you know, assets outside of, you know, their TD Ameritrade, their Charles Schwab, their E-Trade, whatever. I'm actually, some of those merge if I'm not mistaken, but I digress. We're just talking about traditional, you know, platforms there. If they can just add exposure to that, that's going to add more liquidity to the market. But again, I don't think it's an overnight, you know, you add it and XRP goes to $100. You know, Brad's obviously very optimistic. You know, he's very in tune with what's happening. He's probably one of the most educated and, you know, prolific CEOs that's not just working here in America. He's working all over the world, making connections with other bankers, making connections with, you know, other money transmitters. So he has like a pretty well-rounded view of what's happening around the world with both regulation, adoption, you know, struggles when it comes to, you know, cross-border payments. So I think that he is pretty in tune, you know, enough to say that a spot ETF for XRP is afoot. You know, does that mean 6 months? Does it mean 18 months? I don't know, but it will potentially provide more legitimacy for the everyday person that, hey, this is something that it's okay to be invested in. This is a good long-term investment because it's available right here in my TD Ameritrade.
Yeah, Matty, I think, I really enjoy Brad Garlinghouse a lot when he, comes to Twitter or goes on the news or has a podcast or does an interview. Like everything he says, like I don't mean to be a fanboy here, but I really like everything he has to say as a leader in crypto. And towards the end of the CNBC conversation he had on there, because this was on my hit list for after hours, but I didn't even bring it up because it wasn't even worth it because it was like the last 10 seconds of his interview. And the girl was like, "Oh, what about XRP ETF?" And he's like, "Well, 2025." And then the interview ended. It was like a whole nothing burger, So he said 2025, this would be awesome. And I'm looking forward to it because, Maddie, we have seen like this, a lot of hype, roll out to spot Bitcoin ETFs and then this quick turnaround with the spot Ethereum ETF. So definitely interested. I'd like to see it happen before other crypto ETFs like Solana is a big talking point right now, or Cardano. I'd like to see XRP happen before any of those. Shaw Hernandez 3524 says, "Do you think in the future only ISO 20022 coins that are compliant will survive and everything else will be removed? Just got a sneaky suspicion we are heading that way. Thoughts?"
No. Do I think that this market looks different 10 years from now than it does now? Absolutely. We are going to regulate out some assets, and, that means meme coins. There's going to be a lot of, not to say that you can't have, crowdfunding, through DeFi, or you can't have DAOs, or you can't have, the ability to buy NFTs that represent, a certain piece of intellectual property that an artist produces, whether it be music or fine art or whatever it is. I'm not saying those things can't exist, but you will regulate out a lot of these coins that don't actually do anything, the community coins that aren't for crowdfunding, that don't have a nonprofit status. A lot of those are going to get regulated out. Now, do I think that we only see ISO 20022 tokens? No. And when we talk about those, what we really mean by that is they are currently, based on the way that they operate, based on the way the protocols work, they're compliant with the current messaging standards that we use in our financial system today. So that being SWIFT, that being BEPS, right? That being like all of the major systems that we use to move money around the world now. So the reason people are keen on those assets is because they already kind of have a hand in glove fit with the existing system, but obviously, offer something proprietary that helps accelerate, the speed of transfers, the cost of transfers, the transparency of transfers. That's really what we're talking about with ISO 20022 compliance. But I don't think that we eliminate absolutely everything that isn't ISO 20022 compliant, because remember, not everything is meant to be a coin that represents money. Oracles are so important, but those are not necessarily ISO 20022 compliant, right? Like Chainlink and API3 are oracles. All they're doing is taking, data feeds and ensuring that you are getting non-corrupted, data feeds so that you can, have correct pricing for smart contracts, all of those different kinds of things. But it's a completely different set of, first of all, utility as well as circumstances as those ISO 20022 compliant coins. So do I think that everything that's not, under that particular umbrella goes away? No, but I do think we start to regulate out some of the garbage that's in the space that does genuinely put investors at risk, right? All these celebrities that are launching coins, it's really just a really ugly scene out there right now, and it's taking away some of the legitimacy that we have in the space right now. So if we're able to at least legislate some of that out, or have clear definitions of like you are part of gambling pools or whatever, and give them a different designation, then at least investors are aware of what they're getting involved with, and not just saying, okay, XRP and Dog with Hat are on the exact same playing field. They're both coins that will, help move money around the world. We all know that's not true. I think it really is going to come down to, making sure that investors have a clear expectation of what they're getting involved with. That's really what it should come down to, is disclosure, disclosure, disclosure.
Matty, I want to get your thoughts on something right now, just because you just kind of brought up the topic with cryptos and, especially memes and stuff. I tweeted out this week, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, and this might sound like too far to one side of crypto investing, but I made the comment like, you investing in meme coins is taking away the opportunity for you to build long-term positions in assets that will see more bull runs, that will see more market cycles. I can't imagine there will be a few of these meme coins that will last. We've already talked about in the past, when we talk about Doge, when we talk about Shiba, now we're going to see Pepe, we will see WIF, but a lot of these other ones will go to zero, and that is just the truth of the matter, all right? As more cycles go on, more meme coins will last, but a lot of them will fail. That's the same argument Bitcoin maxis make with altcoiners, right? A lot of the altcoins go to zero, right? But a lot of these altcoins have been around for multiple cycles at this point. Okay, we're investing in legacy assets like XRP, like Zcash. Okay, with a couple of these new ones. Okay, trying to bet big on these. But when you buy these meme coins, guys, you are looking at you're thinking about really short-term profit this cycle and not being able to capitalize that in the long term. And Matty, when you went down the other day and you started talking about, because this is an idea I have to like grapple with more and more, just because it isn't prevalent right now. Like Nexo went down a long time ago, so I'm not even thinking about borrowing against my assets. But when you constantly bring that up, I need to keep that in the forefront of my mind, because that will happen one day. We will have easy access for that one day. So every time you shout that out, I'm like, oh my gosh, bro. Like I wonder how far away we are from that, because last bull run, Matty, we had Nexo. I know you were taking loans against, you were borrowing against your crypto, weren't you?
Yeah, I took some loans out against my crypto, and I was able to do some reinvestments, and I also was very conscious of that loan to value ratio though, and I wasn't borrowing in an amount that was like, all right, I'm putting my assets in danger if we move down, let's say even 50%. I was being very, very picky about how much I was actually taking out of that, and I never put myself in jeopardy or put my assets in jeopardy because of that. So there's always going to be tools out there that people are going to abuse, right? Whether it be taking out loans, whether it be chasing 3-digit APY. A lot of what's happening in the meme space right now kind of reminds me of the evolution of slot machines that we've seen in the casino. So, you guys probably remember old slot machines where you pull the lever down and you got to have all three line up, and you either win the payout or you don't based on how many lines you're betting on. But now with progressive jackpots and progressive slot machines, you get people sitting there way longer, because now there's a game to be played. There's potentially that much more of a bigger prize if you just keep buying a little bit more. And if the fishbowl cracks open, then you win this other minor jackpot, and then the major jackpot, and you get people to just sit there and be more involved. And that's kind of how I feel with a lot of like these communities right now, and the Soul Flare. It's getting to a point where people have become very disillusional about what's actually possible, right? They see, oh, well, here's 3 or 4 meme coins that went absolutely ballistic and did 2,000 X's, but we don't talk about Temple, we don't talk about Squid Games, we don't talk about all of these assets that went up, went straight back down, and then went straight to zero, right? So if we are going to be saying we're going to take some of this money that we want to invest, we're going to put it into meme coins, I would really hope that it's going to be a genuinely small portion of your portfolio, and you're still looking to build something for yourself that has real long-term value, right? And some people, I think that they look at the amount of money they have to invest, and let's say it's $1,000 or less, they are far more keen to get involved in these meme coins because they want to maximize those dollars. And I don't have a problem with that. I understand that mindset and wanting to get as much for your money as possible. But don't make emotional decisions based on if it's 1,000x or nothing. There's a middle ground, I promise, where you're still able to risk more than buying the Bitcoin or ETH, but you don't have to go all the way to the other end where you buy the latest political meme, and you're now subject to the just excitement within the market. We saw the same thing with the NFT marketplace. And again, not to say that we shouldn't be able to sell art, digital art, fine art, physical art, whatever you guys want. I firmly believe you should pay whatever you think is a fair price for that art. But that's not what most of you guys are doing out there, right? You're hoping to flip, you're hoping that the community stays up, and you're hoping that you're able to sell it at a higher profit, right? So try not to gamble, guys. Accumulate good quality things that you actually care about.
Well said, Matty. MTD Consultants. As a longtime holder of XRP, HBAR, Casper, Zcash, my ass is puckering. Please confirm I'm okay holding on.
Well, I think you should see a doctor, because I can't offer medical advice, and certainly not financial advice. But listen, based on what you have here, right? I would hope that you understand what you bought, right? I think that if you understand that XRP, HBAR alone kind of sit in their own category, Casper and Zcash in their own verticals as well. You have like some decent diversity there. You have exposure to a lot of good quality verticals. HBAR did make its little breakout move. We're just kind of retesting top of accumulation right now. XRP has just been cooking up in this long pennant for a very long time that we've looked at. Zcash keeps defending those multi-year lows down in the $20 region. And obviously Casper at multi-year lows absolutely hurts right now. But as of right now, markets are just bleeding as a whole. And we are seeing equity markets give everything back right now. We're seeing, a lot of the altcoin market turnover, Bitcoin turnover, and ahead of the Fed meeting. This is not atypical behavior. You will usually see a very aggressive reaction in the market well ahead of FOMC. So a lot of times you'll see the markets dump ahead of it, and then you see the expectation change, or you see Jerome Powell come out and not be an ultra hawk, and then the markets feel better about that, and then they go back and rally again. So I think structurally, like I've pointed to on the CryptoCharged live show, that we are in a spot to make that next leg higher. We just need to see Bitcoin make that leading move, and then we're going to see altcoins make their move after that. Most alts are sitting towards top of accumulation range right now, and this is no different than what we've seen in previous cycles, where we look at the 5-day charts for VeChain, look at the 5-day charts for Cardano. It's exact same behaviors that we saw in the previous cycle, and it's exhausting, because you look and you see the renders out there, and you see the dog with hats, and you're like, damn it, everything's popping off. I picked the wrong coins. I'm an idiot. And then everything has their time to shine. Even in last cycle, even though Zcash didn't make a new all-time high, did over a 10x from its lows, and it just seemed to come out of nowhere and went under the radar because nobody's tracking Zcash, right? So I know that some of these picks sound like old head picks, or you think that because there's other new things that are flying that you've picked the wrong things, but that's not how I feel about it. I've built these positions long enough. I understand exactly what I'm invested in, and I have incredible faith that we're going to see great new all-time highs for all of these assets. So if you feel like you're overexposed, or you wish you had bought a little bit more, there's nothing wrong with maybe diversifying a little bit, maybe cutting some of those down and investing in some things that you feel like you don't have enough exposure into. But if it's just the price action alone that's deterring you, that's really how most of the market looks right now. Most assets, like 70% of the altcoin market, is sitting on top of accumulation. So it doesn't really bother me, and I wouldn't be concerned. But again, not financial advice. I can't tell you what to do. It's your money. You got to make a decision.
Travis, looks like Casper is at an all-time low this morning. Thinking about buying, but am I just buying a falling knife?
I would just throw a DCA on for this type of situation. When you're kind of just contending with all-time lows, you're contending with bottom of accumulation. You can of course go with a lump sum buy, and if you are just trying to establish a strong position in the market, nothing wrong with that. One of the benefits, I guess, right now, if you were to do a lump sum buy, is being able to stake all of it up right now, earning 11% plus in Casper. So you're kind of maybe counterbalancing that. So like, DCA, it's going to be a slow entry. Maybe you get like a slightly lower average by DCAing in, but then you kind of tranche that into the staking pool. So, you have a lesser amount that's working for you. Or maybe you consider now, because we are near all-time lows, buying that lump sum right now, staking it all up, and then that 11% works for you. So you probably actually have a higher, statistical ROI if you maybe did a lump sum and staked it all up right now. And again, not financial advice. You need to make a decision that's good for you. But anything under 3 cents is an absolute steal. Under 5 cents, I believe, in the grand scheme, is still a good bargain for Casper. So don't forget about those staking rewards, guys. And this goes for API 3 as well. The API 3 pool is a little bit lower than it usually is right now. So I think they're paying out 32 or 33% APY in the API 3 pool right now. So, and again, guys, every time I buy API 3, I stake that stuff up. Like I've been doing this for years now. So like my rewards, and again, those don't get paid out for a year, but my rewards for API 3, that's basically going to be most of my long-term bag there, is those staking rewards that I didn't pay a dime for. I'm going to be able to sell those at a much higher price in the future. And I do think API 3 reaches a 3-figure point at some point in the future. So things to consider, guys, when you have something that has a native proof of stake model, that has a native staking pool, always put that into consideration with what you're actually earning, losing, whatever, what you're actually getting out of the project.
227 Matatan says, excellent video, guys. For the next charting episode, what are high but reasonable targets entries for PRO and GHX? We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, so we'll do a brief little technical analysis for you guys here on these two assets. But again, remember, guys, every single Friday we do Technical Tune-Up Friday in our platform. And you guys get to pick what we talk about on our show. So I still always do a brief top-down analysis. We take a look at the stock market, take a look at oil and metals, some of the top cryptos that I think are worth mentioning. But then we look at each and every pick you guys bring on there. So that could be a spot ETF, that could be a stock, that could be a foreign exchange pair, it could be a crypto. I will chart anything you guys want to see there, and that happens every Friday. We generally get somewhere between 28 and 40 picks every Friday, and I will take as long as it needs to get through all of them. So if you guys bring me 2 hours of picks, it'll be a long show, but I will get through all of them. That is my commitment to you. But we're going to do a little example of kind of what we do on Technical Tune-Up Friday here. We're going to start with PRO. Definitely check out PRO, guys. It actually is a good fundamental project. Natalia, I'm going to butcher her last name if I even come close, but she knows what she's talking about. She's been CEO over there for a long time. She actually has a course that she developed, explaining blockchain technology, how it relates to smart contracts, all that good stuff. Very smart woman. But taking a look here at PRO, it was initial just horrible sell. Again, look at this, just bad timing here on that Coinbase listing from 2022, seeing minus 95%. Again, please take this into consideration. There's nothing that Proppy was doing this time. They were building partnerships. They were actually improving their website. They have a proprietary platform similar to kind of like a Salesforce platform, but for real estate agents to conduct blockchain related transactions in there. All of this development was happening while all this price action was here, right? So I just want you guys to be aware that bad price action doesn't always equate to bad tech. Sometimes it's just horrible market timing when it comes to those listings. But what do we do? Just like we do on all assets for the most part, we find a bottom, start to develop an accumulation range. You guys are starting to see that really, they can all take different shapes. They can have different wicks. They can have, different lengths of time that they're in there. But what eventually happens after you build a cumulative base, you get a breakout move. After that breakout move, you get a nice little throwback here. That's a perfect breakout back test. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was a nice breakout back test. And then we got another big impulse here for about a 7x gain up into this previous all-time high in here. So we can always go swing high, swing low in here. Right? What are we going to get? Came in for that 786 retrace, and we're coming back to the 236. If you wanted to add to this, you could add as shallow as the 236. That'd be around $1.30 or so. You really want to get cheeky with it and set a second limit. I would set around 92 cents or so. Now, we always want to look at our risk reward, our ratio here, right? We want to see what that looks like. And we want to see what is that from current market up to the 1.618. Still pretty decent, over a 3x, almost a 4x. Up to a full extension would be about a 11 or 12x opportunity. Not too bad. If we are able to get off that 236 though, we're getting closer to like a 5x opportunity to that first target, and then maybe closer to like a 14 or a 15x up to that next target. So remember guys, sometimes when we don't want to be impatient, we're going to be giving up sometimes multiple x's to the upside. Now what's the downside risk in my opinion? It's probably that 236. So only about a 23%, 30% to the downside, where I think we'd find some sort of meaningful support in there. So I don't think it's a terrible time to get into something like Proppy right now. And again, I do think there's strong fundamentals, not financial advice. Make sure you guys do your own research and go and check out the website, the white paper, all that good stuff. But there is a lot cooking here with Proppy. There's also another company, Realty, you guys can check out if you guys are interested in real estate specific crypto projects. Highly recommend that. They're looking to really kind of capitalize more on fractionalized real estate and like making it more accessible to the everyday person, so you don't have to make $250,000 a year in order to have some exposure into like a partial ownership of real estate. That's where NFTs are going, by the way, guys. That's where the real market, in my opinion, is. Yeah, fine art will have a big NFT space, but if you tokenize real estate, game over. That's going to be 85% of the real estate NFT market. But let's look at the next one. The ticker I want to believe is GHX. GHX? Yes. Cool. GHX. And I already forgot which exchange. I think it was KuCoin that had the most. Okay, cool. So again, guys, make sure when you pull up a chart on TradingView, you're going to see multiple exchanges here: KuCoin, BitGet, MEXC, CoinEx, Gate.io. If you don't automatically have the crypto one, meaning that TradingView is syndicating as much price action as it can, you're going to have to go through all of them, because what you don't want to do is shoot yourself in the foot looking at a chart and you're like, hey, this chart looks really good. And then there's actually another 18 minutes of price history and you're like, shit, I bought the top of this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure you're looking at all the price action. So we have a couple different, points of interest that we can go from here. One of the things that you guys hear me talk about, especially if you guys are a CryptoCharged member already, we talk about some of these projects that have the unfortunate, launching at the wrong time and just seeing that initial selling, no pullbacks, just kind of seeing price absolutely slam down. So we actually want to grab 2 points of interest for our tops there. I generally like to look for a pullback and go from a more liquid top as my swing high, but we can still evaluate both ranges. So don't be afraid to evaluate 2 Fibonacci ranges. Nothing wrong with, at least giving yourself some context, because sometimes you can find like the middle ground between that. You're like, okay, I see this is one range. I see this is another range. This is kind of the pocket where I want to get involved in this, or this is the pocket where I want to get out of this. So let's go from, first of all, this pullback in here. So we're going to go from this swing high over here instead of this swing high over here for the reasons I just mentioned. Really just not a lot of liquidity here. So let's go from swing high to swing low here. And we actually did reach a 1.618 using that actually liquid swing high in here. We will look at that other example there. Currently holding on top of the 50% FIP in here. From the most part, relatively rebalanced. I would have maybe liked to see a little bit of a deeper throwback initially towards like the 2.83 cent region, but that may be long gone now, especially with a correction like this. This has been a pretty decent pullback from the 34-cent top, has pulled back about 70%. So again, mitigating quite a bit of risk here. That's what I'm always looking for. If you guys are like, hey, it's had a hot run, but now we've pulled back 55, 60, 70%, you guys have mitigated a lot of the risk there. Now, does that mean that's the absolute bottom? No, can't promise that, but we want to try to at least reduce as much risk as possible. When we look at the Fibonacci's in inverse capacity, if we go to swing low, swing high, what you would actually be looking for is the 0.5, the 0.618, right? What all you're doing is moving the decimal point over. It's 61.8% of the range, or 50% of the range. Super simple math. Like, you guys don't have to think too hard about this. But for the most part, relatively rebalanced in here to that 4.236. Again, using this swing high from 2021, we will evaluate the range in just a second here. Looking up to that full extension would be potentially upwards like a 7x opportunity to that 4.236. interestingly enough, when we use this swing high, it coincides, the full extension coincides with that illiquid top that we had previously. Now, of course, like I just mentioned, we always want to take a look at the ultimate swing high in here just to see if we're missing something. Dip come into the 236 here, which we do see as a very common thing, especially when you see those huge illiquid drops in here. One of the things I'm looking for in our mana swing trade, in our sushi swing trade, in our alluvium swing trade, almost all of those are 236 or 382 gaps that are very, very clear, where there's just this massive imbalance. See over and over again, those get cleared out. Does that mean that that's the absolute top? No, but that means that that big opportunity where there's like, you know, a lot of orders up there have been cleared out. There's going to be less and less momentum just automatically provided based on those gaps. Now, again, what we want to do when we have these big gaps here, if we are going to use that highs, we want to make sure we're marking up areas of support and resistance in here as well. Boom, boom. Over in here as well. And you can use these as guides. So the Fibonacci's are kind of like a little bit of a cheat code because it does a lot of the work for you. What you'll also notice is if you mark up your support and resistance zone ahead of time and then you throw a fib on top of it, you will more often than not see that fib line up perfectly with what you consider a key support or resistance zone. And those are areas of interest that you want to absolutely target, whether it be for buys or for exits here. So two very good picks here. You know, again, from a fundamental standpoint, not that I've done an extensive research here, but we are syndicating GPU power akin to Render and other deep-in projects. So there is real world utility there. I do know that there is going to be a bigger and bigger market, especially as AI comes online, and there's going to be another chip shortage, guys. I promise you this for GPUs, especially as, you know, we start selling these enormous capacity GPUs with enormous buses and VRAM on them. You're going to have more and more need to syndicate the everyday person who has a gaming computer, even if it be 8, 16, or 24 gig cards, to do 3D modeling, AI modeling, whatever it may be. So I do have a lot of faith in these deep in projects, but, you know, of course, make sure you do your own research. This is just the technical setup here. And again, every single Friday we do this, guys. So, you know, you don't have to wait here for the Ask Matty show to hope and pray that you get yours here on the show. You can guarantee that you will get your pick each and every Friday if you guys drop it in the Discord for us.
Val and Matty, great technical breakdown you gave on those two altcoins there. Team, you heard it from Matty here first. Become a CryptoCharged member. Make sure you use code FATHER on the website to be entered into the giveaway. We will announce it next week. We'll do it right on the show to see who the winner is. So, team, we'll see you next week. Bye. Holy crap, I gotta go to the bathroom so bad.
Oh, sorry,
job.
bro.
Good job, Matty.